And welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. It is Wednesday night. It's a little late one, a little bit after 9 o'clock here in Australia. We have an action packed show. Just what a week of basketball. Just some incredible stuff to go through. No Aussies, but still, we're going to talk about the NBA bubble and the playoffs. Shameless plugs, as always. Our socials are down the side there. You can now find us on Spotify. We are on Spotify. If you're a Spotify user, you can watch us or listen to us rather on Spotify, Oz NBA Takeover, everywhere else, Twitter, YouTube, iTunes, Podcast Addict, SoundCloud, any other RSS feeder you can find. If not, send us a message on Facebook or on Twitter or on any of the platforms, and we will look into getting these podcasts to you. Anything else to plug? Nah, nothing else to plug.
No, nothing shameless. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we should just get right into. We're going to start with the Lakers taking care of the Rockets. Obviously, the Western Conference Final. Spoiler alert was sewn up today. We will get to that, but we'll take it back to, I think last time we podcasted our last episode was 3-1 Lakers.
Yeah.
And I had just kind of gone from being like, oh man, the Lakers look bad in game one to, oh no, sweet. Like my prediction of the Lakers winning. Yeah.
They played Markieff Morris at center and benched Howard and McGee, and it was a very smart move, good coaching move. Play small ball against the Rockets. I mean, really with AD on the floor, you're a mobile big man anyway. There's no point in playing a traditional center against the Rockets team. How bad was Westbrook? Just quietly. He's bad. Just fallen off a cliff in terms of productivity. The only thing he has left is athleticism, but his shot selection's terrible.
It's part of that is good coaching from the Lakers, though. Frank Vogel was just like, let's make sure we just put Russ in these situations where we dare him to shoot or we dare him to kind of make a play. I guess sort of through the season, he was taking advantage of that by driving to the rim. I would just wonder how much that injury kind of affected his performance. To play devil's advocate, like it's easy to sort of sit here, throw stones at the Houston Rockets and say that, he was a big problem on that team. But at the same time, how effective was he? Like, he wasn't driving to the rim as much. They were leaving him wide open. He did have a couple of sugar hit games where he had 30 points and you're just like, yeah, but you lost and, the team didn't play well. But yeah, at the same time, I wonder how much that injury was affecting him. And he had COVID too, I believe. Allegedly.
Yeah, he did have COVID. Oh, yeah, he probably did test positive. That's another story for another day. But it's one of those things. That Rockets team was just disgusting from the start. We've always said it. We thought, could it work? Maybe it'll work. No, it didn't work. Obviously, we've seen that from D'Antoni's exit. He was out pretty much straight away. As soon as that siren sounded, he was like, "Yep, done and dusted with this monster. See ya."
Yeah, he had his suitcase packed. He was straight out.
Oh man, he was packed. He was just like, "No, I'm over this just wild ride." Look,
yeah,
you can put Russ and Harden together. You can put Harden and Russ and Paul George together. You could put none of it works because none of it is championship level basketball. They're not high IQ players. Russell Westbrook's not a high IQ player. Harden is a fantastic player and an amazing talent, but he kind of just missed. Capella was that go-to guy as a dial-up offense if his shot wasn't getting in. And so this whole series, there's no dial-up offense for him, right? He's like, I'm going to drive and try and shoot or float, but there was no Capella standing in the dunk spot waiting for him to get a couple of sneaky assists.
And that was a big thing. Like if you go back to that 2018 team, I remember we were talking about how they've got like this three-sided dice game where you roll the dice, Harden drives, and he's got three options. He smashes it to the corner, he lobs it for Capella, and he was so good at finding that like little tiny bit of space. It's like, oops, you helped off Capella. That's a lob, thank you. And like those lobs that aren't like, oh no, like, scramble to throw that down. These were like Capella was wide open. He just went, bam. And how demoralizing were those types of plays? And then if you look at now, like in this series, he was kind of driving to try and get contact and score. Like that's how I felt in this series. Like it's like, I'm going to try and initiate or get some contact, flail my elbows and score. Whereas before he had foils. Like he had, I'm going to drive. I know my guys in the corner. I know my guys here, there. And then whenever sometimes he would drive and then it'd just be like, I'm going to kick it out. And it's like, oh no, it's Russ. And he'd throw it to Russ and he'd just be like, well, that's
the whole
brick.
thing. You only have to shut down the lane for Russ. In the postseason, the lane is a lot more closed off. And you could leave Russ open on the perimeter and dare him to shoot. And Harden had nowhere to go. There was no big man waiting in the dunker spot. There was Russ in the corner, and it was terrible. I just feel like D'Antoni just had no options left. It's kind of like the Lakers had figured it out. All right, we're not going to play a traditional center. We're going to a small ball lineup. We'll play Morris at the center, and we're just going to play your game. And we've got more skilled players. We've got bigger players that play that fast style of basketball. And LeBron's defense against Russell Westbrook in that series was hilarious.
The chase down blocks, even like at the rim too. Like a few times he just starched him. Even you could tell by the end of that series, Russell Westbrook was just like, I'm not going to drive and try and score because basically I'm either going to get blocked or like it's a bad play. Like not necessarily scared of doing like I wouldn't think Russell Westbrook's someone who gets scared of going to the rim to try and score. But at the same time, you could tell he was just like, oh, this is a bad play as well. Like I can't shoot, I can't go to the rim. Like, kind of what's he doing on the floor? There was stretches where, like, to go back to your point, like D'Antoni, was this his ultimate aim? Like, I don't look at him and go, you know what? Like they rolled the dice, it all washed up, and this is all he could do. Like, I'm like, this is what he does. Like, this is his coaching style. This is what it is. The sum of everything that they did culminated in D'Antoni and this. So I'm not looking at him and going, oh, well, like you did your best. Well done. Pat you on the back. Take it easy. Like go and coach somewhere else. Like I just don't see how like you can kind of absolve him of any blame in this scenario. But at the same time, like Morey gets blame, obviously. Like the risks that they took were ludicrous, really. Like in hindsight, looking at them.
Looking at them going, this team is essentially functionally dead, right? How do you rebuild with no picks, no traditional centers? We know that small ball doesn't work now, so you've got no traditional centers. You've got a dead contract in Westbrook, who's on the super max or the max.
Super max, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, he's on the super max. Like, so he's probably owed about 40 odd million next season. You've got a kind of a dead deep bench that works well in regular season against trash teams when they run up 150 points, but obviously has no postseason prowess. So where do you go? What do you do? And I say you blow the thing up and you send Harden to Philly for Embiid. Like, I'm being serious, man. Like, I think that answers a lot of questions about that. You build around a centerpiece with Embiid. You've got Westbrook, who's a functionally player. Westbrook and Harden don't work. They didn't work together in OKC. They didn't really work. They didn't win a championship in OKC with Durant in the team. Like, come on. Like, that's if you're not going to win in that, you're never going to win.
Yeah,
wasn't Ibaka in that team as well? Like, how did that team not win? It was like 4 massive players.
Who did they play in those finals? Was the Heat, I believe. I think
the
Heat beat them. That was a pretty good Heat team back then. I'm going to go back to that.
It was Bosh Wade.
2013, I think it was, or 2012 maybe. 2012 finals. There's a, I remember going back to them making this trade. There was a slight, just like, okay, I kind of want to see what happens here. Like, what's going to happen here?
Yeah.
And then about 3 games in, I was just like, oh yeah, it's the fucking Rockets. I don't want to watch this. It's shit. It's Westbrook driving in like a maniac, like wildly running around. Like, I think fundamentally, Harden and Westbrook have to both change their game. If they're going to win championship, they both have to change the fundamental aspects of the game. And at 30, like, they're not going to do that. Like, I think that's it.
Harden needs to change the fact that he needs to step away from being a ball dominant guard and be a shooter. That's his prowess is that the fact he can score at ridiculous shots from the 3-point line. Like, that's what he is, right? And the problem is teams have gotten smart. They know that you just got to harass him, and then he's not going to shoot a couple in, and then he's going to go to his drive and contact game, but his driving contact is all ISO. So you just collapse, put a couple of bodies in, and then and I think refs are getting more aware of in the postseason that that's what he's trying to achieve, and he's not getting the same calls that he would during the regular season at a home game.
Because there were some sort of like parts of this series where like you can let, like, there's calls you can let go. There's some bang bang plays where you're just like, oh, they missed the call. Like, fair enough. But there are these plays that the Rockets always seem to get where they just slide in front of a guy and take a charge. And you're like, stop calling them. Like, if you stop giving these guys fouls, they'll stop defending like that. And then when people start getting upset at bad calls, like, you're already going, you're getting these fucked calls here. Like, stop complaining. Like, you're getting these shitty calls for doing this shitty stuff here. Like, you got to just suck it up that they're missing these other calls here. Like, you've got to just accept it. So, and then that's a big part of the way they play. Like, I thought they tucked it in the bag a little bit, and I kind of had like a little bit of respect for them in that series. Covington played pretty hard. PJ Tucker, like, was getting a lot of praise for his defense, but I thought he just got destroyed by Davis, man. Like he had that really good game in game one, and then Davis was like, oh yeah, right, I'm 7 foot, and all I can do is, touch, go by you, and that's it. And then it's like, yeah, right, we've seen that before. Like, we've seen a small ball center, and people are saying, oh, it's elite defense, like get him on another team, like he deserves to be in elite teams. I'm like, yeah, we've seen this. It was Draymond Green. He won 3 championships, and he was way better. Like, what? We've seen this. Like, this is not the same type of player. You get a 7 foot, like Draymond, like, destroyed Anthony Davis in a playoff series, and nobody likes him. Yet we're here going, oh, PJ Tucker was mad in that series. Like, he's a mad player. I'm just like, he got fucking destroyed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, on the Lakers team, they're going to go into this final series, or this Western Conference final series. Like, I feel like we're seeing a balance of teams. We kind of touched on it a little bit last week. Like, we're seeing Philly went too big, Houston went too small. It's these balanced teams that have good wings, solid defense, a couple of centers that can throw here and there. They're the teams that are making these finals. And the gimmick stuff, I think it's dead, man. I think we're over gimmicky basketball, and that's kind of like, I like Morey, and I respect the amount of balls it took to do this. At the same time, I'm just sitting here going, yeah, I knew this wasn't going to work, dude. Like, we knew this was going to culminate in you guys flaming out. Harden, look, let's quickly talk about Harden's kind of flame outs. Like, do you look at him now and you're just going, what's going on, dude? Like, what's going on with your game? Like, why are you struggling in these playoffs?
His game is never based on getting the team involved. It's not a lot of touches in between plays. There's not a lot of off-ball movement. It's Harden, ball handling skills, step back three. You're right. It's the roll of the dice. It's the step back three. It's the in and out of the legs, drive to the hoop for the lob, or drive and kick, right? At 6'4", you're not going to have that same vision as a Ben Simmons who's 6'10", or a Nikola Jokic at 7 foot. Like, this is, or Giannis. I mean, look how well that went. You know what I mean? I think that the teams that have gotten through have played quick basketball. They've had good, big players that are not superstars. And they've had solid wings and facilitators. Like, you look at all those teams, Marcus Smart is a fantastic facilitator. Jimmy Buckets is a great facilitator. And Goran Dragic has had a phenomenal postseason run, postseason run of his life. You know what I mean? The Lakers, obviously, you've got Rondo and LeBron, two of the best facilitators in the game. And you have Nikola Jokic, who is probably the best big man facilitator that's ever played the game. Let's be real here.
And keep in mind that we are biased, and we have watched a lot of Andrew Bogut.
Yeah, but there's just something about his game that, Andrew Bogut couldn't shoot, whereas this guy's such a triple threat. He gets double teamed all the time. He gets in face, and he still just produces magic.
I don't know, like where to for the Rockets. I still look at them and just as like there's too much shit you need to fix. They got to bring in a new coach. Like, how are you going to come into this Rockets team and just go, right, James Harden and Westbrook, you got to play like this? You know, like
you can't. One of them's got to go.
Yeah, and then Eric Gordon, like their role guys, Eric Gordon, Covington, I like, and I can see Covington going to a different team. Like, I feel like this has put him in the shop window to just be like, man, one of these teams is going to just swoop in and take him off him. You know, like Tucker, Gordon, Rivers, they got a lot of guys where you're just like, yeah, not championship caliber role guys. And I don't know, like they're in that category again of a team that's like, I need to see them do it. Like, I don't trust these guys to do it.
No, they're not going to do it. But this is what I mean. Your biggest asset in that team is James Harden.
Mm.
He's the only one you're going to be able to trade for assets.
Mm.
So what do you do with that?
But then it's just like that's completely like blowing it up. You know, that's complete overhaul of this team, and then you know you're probably looking at 2 or 3 years of and a whole new style. And that's enough that I kind of the depth that I want to go to with the Rockets. Like if they go into the wilderness, yeah, sweet, I'm cool with that. Nice, like I'm happy with that. But I thought like on the Lakers, I thought they worked that out. They just went, all right, we'll throw doubles at Harden. We'll make sure he's, you know, like got his face basically to the sideline, throw these doubles at him from angles that he, you know, and he kind of like didn't know what to do. Like he froze up. And usually as a coach, and this kind of wasn't like, oh, you know, it was a game 7. They threw these doubles at him. And that's when, you know, they struck and they, you know, they made their move. They struck. And that's what won them the game in the series. They threw it at him in game 2. And like for 3 games, man, he could not, like he did not know what to do. And as a coach, in D'Antoni's case, I would be looking at his ability and going like the adjustment, like you should have made an adjustment there. And for 3 games, he just like was an absolute zero on like double teams. I was like, what is going on? Like, what is this? That's it was just crazy.
Yeah, D'Antoni's, look, you know, I wouldn't want him for a coach for Philadelphia. He's kind of like the last guy I'd want as a coach for Philadelphia.
Yeah, fast, a lot of shooting.
Yeah, but fast, a lot of shooting doesn't win championships.
Yeah, true. I don't know. It's Brett Brown. Obviously, we have talked about him. He has been fired from Philly. Quickly, like who are some other coaches that are out there though? Billy Donovan. You don't want Billy Donovan?
No.
I don't know who else.
Jeff Van Gundy.
Oh no. I don't like his commentary, so I don't want to watch him as a coach.
Nate McMillan.
Yeah, tough defense. Yeah, I could see that. A grinder for Philly.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to work, to be honest with you. I think that they need to. I don't even know what Philly needs, to be honest with you. I think it's just a shit show of there's going to have to be some big changes. Anyway, we'll see what happens kind of in the off season.
We'll do a little homework in the off season.
We still really don't know when this next season's starting. Like there's no timeline of begin and end, which is interesting.
That was some of the comments that were made post game today. It was just like, you know, the season's going to start back up quickly. We just got to get back down to business. You know, oh no, one of my panels is going to fall off. Hang on. And then, yeah, like you've got to be looking at this going, all right, we lost. We're out of the bubble now. You know, we just got to like grind to get back into it. And some of these teams I think will evolve. I just don't see Houston as a team that's going to do that. Philly, like it looks like it's going to need a little bit of an overhaul. The Jazz, you know, to go out of the bubble in that way is got to look tough, especially with some of the circumstances we won't quite spoil yet that have happened today. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. So the West finals are decided. No, it's just gonna fall off. Fuck off. The West finals are decided. No spoilers. We will talk about the Celtics taking care of the Raptors, that game 7, because our last episode was just before that game 7, I think the day before. And it was kind of tense, man, but it was such a good series. That series was awesome.
Good series. It was.
It's a shame Bainesy's still not on that team.
I know. Tatum's had a brilliant postseason run as well. Kemba Walker was hilariously bad that last game. Look, I think Smart's been the pick of their players by far. You know, defensively, offensively facilitating. He's an underrated good player. I just wonder
Kemba, you
if
talking about?
no Marcus Smart.
Marcus Smart, yeah.
I just wonder if Boston are big enough to beat anyone who comes out of the West if they do proceed.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think Miami have the general size, but I don't know if Boston has the size to beat the Lakers or has the size to beat the Nuggets. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. And we can go into today's game with the Heat and
good game again, man. That was a really
great
good game.
Wow,
so tense, man. Like, that's a game where it just went each way. The whole game just went, oh, and Miami looks like they're going to take this. Oh, no, Boston's clawed it back. Oh, Boston looks like it's going to take it. No, Miami's clawed it back. Miami's going to take this. The entire game was just like that. It was so tense.
And it came up to one massive play.
That block was ridiculous. One of the most ridiculous plays. But I was saying to you before that, fair play on Tatum. Like, I've seen a lot of backlash on Tatum. Should have laid it in. Should have passed it out. He's a young guy, you know. I'm like, fair play for him just wanting to spike that, man. Like,
well, not only that, like, you got to think, like, he's gone in that. You got to have some good timing. You know, Tatum's what, 6'7", Adebayo's 6'9", so there's not a massive difference. You know, chances are he hits him and he goes to the line for two. You know, that if you look at the statistical play of that, either it goes in for an and one, he hits him and he loses it, and it was just the perfect block. Like, you can't get any better than that block.
It was like the universe told us that block had to happen because he had to come across. It was from the weak side. He was so late that the outstretched arm, the wrist, the hand was in just the perfect position to block that. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing more or less he could have done to alter that sequence. Like, he put his hand there, it was blocked. Plus, like, because he was so late, he went past Tatum and didn't foul him. You know what I mean? Because I was listening to SportsCenter, and Legler said, like, if he had gone with his right hand, there was no way he wouldn't have come across and just fouled Tatum there.
Yeah.
And we should just quickly talk about that flop from Smart. Like, you've been talking about Marcus Smart. That flop was ridiculous to tie the game up.
There's a lot of flopping, man.
That's what I like. Some of the refereeing in the bubble has been good. Where I'm like, good, yes, this is good. Good to see, like, we're letting things go. But then sometimes they'll just make these weird calls where you're like, no, like, stop rewarding this shit, and then people will stop doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're blowing your whistle and going, that's a foul, like, it's in your mind to just go, oh, sweet, I'll stand in front of someone and fall over. Nice. And then you're going to get a foul if you make it look like a foul. Like, it's so egregious, and it's like we're on a slippery slope here where I think players are getting a lot better at doing it. And there was one today where Harrell ran up court and Jeremy Grant slipped and his leg was out, and then Harrell did like the striker in the box style, like take a step onto your foot and fall over. And I was just like, that was like a keeper save where the guy like touches it sideways and leaves his leg there and falls over. I was like, we're getting into like crazy territory with this flopping, and it was called a foul. And you know, you're probably like, I guess it was a foul, but this Marcus Smart flop today was ridiculous, I thought.
They have been selling a little bit, but again, that's the way the basketball's going at the moment.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? They sell the contact. There's contact there, but it's being sold to the referees. And I just think that they should have post-game name and shame. You know what I mean? Like, just, okay, we'll give it to you during the game, but know that on review on post-game, you're going to be named and shamed for just being a complete flop artist. Maybe that'll stop it.
A
like,
fine,
yeah, right.
I
don't think a fine, because I mean, if there's contact and you sell it, you know, but
they do get fined for flopping.
Yeah,
but like, I think it needs some nuance. Like, I think it needs like a panel sits there and just goes, not necessarily like, you know, it's like a technical, you get fined. It's like flagrants, you get fined. Like within the construct of like penalties in the game. Like, I still think somebody needs to sit there at the end of a game and just go, like, these were flops. You get like a $2,000 fine. Like, cop it.
Yeah,
but then I guess then you get into the realm of like, if the punishment isn't severe enough.
No, the punishment isn't severe enough, and they should just be labeled floppers, and they should be made to wear a hat that says flopper. for the next game. Just
Yeah, or their shirt has to have like embroidered flop underneath the logo or something.
do you want to hear how bad it is in Indonesia at the moment? This is pretty bleak, but in Indonesia at the moment, to teach anti-maskers a lesson, they're making them dig the graves of the newly COVID dead.
Oh man,
That's what they need to do to these NBA players on flopping. That is a
like dig graves. Shit, man, that's dark. But no, I agree. Like they've got to come up with something, because again, like I was tweeting today, like there was this Tice one where Tice just like takes a step across straight into someone and falls over. And I think it was Crowder. And Crowder kind of sold a bit of a flop as well. They both flopped a little bit. But I'm like, ultimately, that's bad defense, man. Like, that's bad defense. You weren't, like, in a legal position. You kind of just tried to get there. And then the ref goes, yeah, that's definitely an offensive foul. And you're like, no, it wasn't. Like, we've got to stop rewarding
they've been pretty
this,
good.
man.
Like, the Nuggets Clippers series, there were some stupid charges that were taken. And it was, a lot of them were given blocking fouls. So I think that, it's really up to the individual ref. This whole moving into a screen to try and take the charge. Oh, I hate it, man. Like, different if you're set in the lane and you stand your ground and he barrels you over. Yeah, that's a charge. But this whole, like, moving the legs and, like, touching the tippy toes.
Yeah, or like a guy coming from the weak side, instead of trying to block the shot, he just shuffles over and goes, and like stands there and just like, no, that's not defense. That's fucking ridiculous. Stop it. Yeah. Like there needs to be the charge circle, I think needs to come out to about 8 feet and go all the way around. It's just like, you don't get charges inside there. Because I sent you that video of Durant's dunks, and every single one of those awesome dunks was like a contest. And you're just like, see, like, how good is this? Nobody getting in the way and just be like, oh, you fouled me, sir. And it's like, yeah, but he dunked all over you. Like, stop it. Like, stop trying to take charges. This is ridiculous. But yeah, I think this is going to be a great series, man. Again, fuck the coaching. Spo versus Brad Stevens.
Yeah, man. Oh. Chess. It's chess.
And Tyler Hero coming up with just some massive buckets, man, at the end of that game. The one where he went to pump fake, and then he didn't realize the defender had gone like far enough past him. So he was just like, oh, wait, sweet. I got enough room here. I'll just raise up and shoot it. Like down 3, like massive balls on that fucking to just be like, oh, sweet. I'll just raise up and like splash this 3 completely pure. I was like, fucking hell, this guy's a rookie. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. I've heard stories about him where his work ethic is just absolutely absurd. Like, there's stories in college where I think they won a game and everyone was out drinking, and he went back to train for 4 hours in the gym after they'd won the game. Like that's what you need to get to the NBA, and that's why he got picked up by Spoelstra. It's his work ethic. Apparently, he's a lunatic in the gym. He just shoots all day, and you can see it, man. Like the kid is always in the right position. His fitness level's unreal. This Miami team looks fit, and they've not had a hard run. Let's be real.
Yeah. Oh, no, I kind of look at it like they're not just doing wild shit. Like, I'm just going to be wild, play wild, and it's like all calculated. It's all well coached. It's well drilled. No crazy expending of energy. Their setup has got them in scenarios where they're not just expending insane amounts of energy defending, running around the court like wild. And that's the difference between these coaches like Doc Rivers today we'll get to, but these schemes where we trust our defense, we trust the setup that the coach has given us, we know how to execute. And I guess like if you look at Stevens and Nurse in the last series, like it was just such a clash of two of the most tight styles. And it's a better game. Like it's a way better game to watch. It's more intense. Like the chess piece moving is great. Like you get players making great plays. And then like I've noticed the difference between great coaches coming up against shit coaches in this bubble. Like Houston, especially, like Lakers Houston was a great example of that, where it was just like, and the Lakers make one move. What's your next move, Houston? Houston like, we lose 0-4 and then, we're out. Sorry about that, guys. Like, it just, like, it's highlighted. Like, there's a stark contrast, I think, in some of this coaching. And I think some of these coaches need to get a lot better. Like with the Billy Donovan play at the end of that OKC series, where you're just like, 3 teams have already run a better fucking inbounds play at the end of a game to win a game or get an open shot. I think I had Tatum got fouled. We had that Anunoby 3. Anunoby, or was it OG
it was OG,
Anunoby
yeah.
3? And then I think there was one today where Tatum, it was in the second quarter, but it was in like an inbounds play where they got him pretty much a straight. And even that final play today pretty much was Jimmy Butler hedged, and that was off the inbound, off a little rub screen, and he had that clear lane, man. And I'm like, go ahead and punch it. And if you don't make that fucking basket, well, come back next time. And I think here going forward in this series, the last couple of years, he might have gone like, that's rocked me, boys. Like, oh no, like my confidence is rocked from that. But I feel like this season he might come back a better player from that, and with a bit more kind of, fire to want to be better. But at the same time, like he also feels like a player that's like not necessarily like sensitive, but a player that has to have an element of control to his game to play well.
What is this? Is this year 3? This is year 3.
Three is the same class as Simmons, was he?
No, he's not the same class as Simmons.
Year before Simmons or year after?
He's the same rookie year as Simmons, I think. Yeah, same
Fultz, wasn't it? Didn't they trade up to take Fultz? Yeah, that's right. The year after
they traded up.
Oh no! Imagine Tatum on the Philly. Fuck. But again, like so many times, like I read these draft stories, like just to go on for a bit of a tangent, and it's like, oh my god, Ricky Rubio! Like, why did they take Ricky Rubio instead of Curry? And then they took another point guard. I can't remember who it was. And then Steph Curry's just like, yeah, there's no fucking way I was playing in Minnesota. Like, I'm not playing there. So they could have picked me, and I'd have been like, I'm fucking out of here. Take it easy.
Well, that's it. Like, you got to want to play for the franchise. I think a lot of it is a lot of backdoor dealings. Who was it? Someone wanted to work out Zion, and Zion was like, yeah, I'm not going there.
Yeah, I think it might have been Minnesota again.
Yeah, I think it's like, yeah, I'm not
it was
up,
like, how about no? And I think it was Luka as well with Minnesota too. They were like, Luka, please, we got picks coming. He was just like, how about no? So again, like it's
too fucking cold.
Yeah, fuck that. Fuck playing in Minnesota, man. But we're off on a tangent. Like Celtics, I think. What can you see this series? Miami. I feel like Miami, man.
I feel like Miami too. I just think that's a bit deeper in the team. They've got some ridiculous shooters off the bench. Some classy vets. Iguodala coming off the bench, playing some good D. The Jimmy Buckets factor. I think the Jimmy Buckets factor is big in this series. He's the savviest vet in that series. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy that can give you 30 points, but can intimidate.
The best terrible shot maker I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's terrible. And some of the shots, they don't. Oh, it's just,
even that three in the corner too at the end of this game. Even that like drive where he got fouled was like, it's a kind of a bad play, head down straight into your defender, but still made it.
That's what
I thought Tatum defended that quite well. He was vertical. He just kind of at the end like brought his arms down, which is a foul. But
that's Jimmy Butler though. He goes straight in head first into everyone and to create space, and then kind of looks up and shoots, and somehow it goes in.
Yeah, but fuck, it's gonna be a good series. I'm almost like I don't want either of these teams to lose, man. Like I was a little bit like that with OKC and the Rockets at the end of that series. I was like, let's just eliminate both teams. Like we don't need these teams anymore.
I want to see a Miami Lakers final.
I would like to see that. I don't know. Like we'll quickly just pivot to Nuggets Clips.
Can we just call this the rise of Jamal Murray?
Oh man, just that whole team. Like there's so much to dissect in this series. Like how the fuck did Denver go down 3-1 in both series, with everyone just being like, how are you guys, like you guys were running on fumes in game 4 or game 5 of the fucking Utah series. Like how have they pulled this together? Like it makes no sense at all.
Yeah, it doesn't, sheer willpower.
And coaching, like we've got to give a shout out to Mike Malone. Like we had said, I think Snyder's a better coach than Malone. I haven't seen anything in this series. And then they unlocked this Murray-Jokic sort of side pick and roll, top pick and roll. They're putting in these scenarios where Jokic will get he'll rub off a defender and then just see the whole floor. He'll just see the whole floor, and these teams just can't. Like I guess it's easier for us to see when you're watching the whole floor, but when you're in the moment, like to talk about this Clippers game today, they'll throw in these ridiculous double teams. Like just ludicrous ones where you're just like,
Yeah.
whoa, 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 what are you doing? Like not like, oh, like, that's a good double. Like, oh no, like fair enough. Like these were like, whoa, 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 this just looks like bad defending. Like shit, man. Like what are you guys doing? And that to me in that game 4 and 5, game 5 and 6 rather, was where it was like we don't have that answer. And we're scratching around for this answer of just how we double Jokic. And they just never found it.
No. It just says a lot that it was really that whole breakdown in that double team that cost them the series. He just sees the floor so much better than anyone else.
I know, it's nuts. It's again, like you have a player like that, right? And you can put that player into any team, but the team has to know how to execute off that player too.
Yeah.
And that's what Denver were doing in this entire series, and they'd leave their runs to the end of the game when the Clips were tired too. Like I kind of felt like they were playing a little bit of rope-a-dope in that Utah series, but not like this Clips series where I was just like, well, how the hell are you guys coming back at the end of these games, man? This is absurd.
Just quietly on the DL, how trash is Patrick Beverley?
I can't stand that guy, man.
He's
again, it goes into this Clippers. That's a lot of, like, really when you drill down into it, that Clippers team is a lot of B-side trash, man. Like Harrell, like how fake was Harrell in this series, man? Like he got rinsed defensively loads of times where it was just like Harrell step up Harrell over here, Harrell turn and face Jokic. Like what are you doing? Like shit, like college level shit where you're just like, man, your defense is not great here. And Denver was so good at exploiting it. And then you got like Lou Williams where you're just like, you know, lunch lady Lou, like strip club Lou. And then he was getting torched defensively. And if he can't score the ball, like he's a net negative on defense.
Yeah.
And admittedly, this Clippers team, like Morris trash too, like that stomp, like the kind of bad karma dudes, like and Beverly's like a bad karma dude where he fouled out in game. He came out in like with 10 minutes to go and then super heavy hedging. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, why are you playing such insane defense with 10 minutes to go in the fourth where your coach has just brought you back out and you have 5 fouls? And then his 5th foul is he's trying to draw a charge. It's just like, get the fuck off the court. Like, what are you doing? Like, fucking hell. And then again, like, you look at him, like, all right, junkyard defender, you know, has the persona of like, man, this guy will never back down. It's just like, yeah, what are you on offense? Not much? You know, we kind of need offense in this series. And
not
you're
only
not giving
offense,
it to him.
Zero facilitation. Like, that team is just a team of... There's just a team of ISO. Kawhi is not really a facilitator, and he had a very, very quiet series.
The last 2 games, man, he died. Like it was, just, I don't know if he's maybe had that injury catching up to him, double game days, like double. What do we call it? Every second day.
Every second day. I don't think it's that, man. I think that Kawhi needs facilitators, and you know, you look at that Raptors team, and Lowry's a fantastic facilitator. Van Fleet's a good facilitator. There's no one to feed him. Who's feeding who at the Clippers? They've just put a team. They've put a team of fantastic individual talents on there.
And look, like I don't think Doc's a great coach either, man. Like I think he's a good coach, and I think X's and O's attitude wise, he's a good coach, and he has a chance. Like he has a ring too. Like so, he has pedigree, and you can kind of say, yep. But at the same time, like I looked at those defensive schemes and was just like, this shit's so outdated, man. Like you're 4 years behind here. Like the adjustments they made. You know, let's just send crazy doubles at Jokic in game 5. And it's just like, yeah, that didn't work. What do you got in game 6? Let's just send crazier doubles at Jokic. It was like, what are you doing? Like, and look, admittedly, devil's advocate, Denver made some fucking crazy shots. Like if you gave Denver these games, you know, 99 out of 100, I don't think they'd win this series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they'd probably win, I reckon, maybe 50 times out of 100 if you gave him this series. Like the amount of dudes hitting shots, Jeremy Grant was hitting shots, Gary Harris hit a couple of massive buckets where you were like, fuck, like, all right. And like crazy cuts, like he was making these cuts through traffic, and Jokic found him on this one where it was like,
yeah, that's just...
It was like this shovel, like, you know, like you're backing down and you kind of over the shoulder shovel, hit like over the shoulder, but like diagonally towards the bucket.
I
And
saw that one.
that was like next level shit, man, because it was right in the pocket and gave him enough room to lay it in. Like it wasn't like he caught it like at his hip and then had to go up and lay it in because he probably would have got blocked by Kawhi. But he gave it to him like in front of him, so all he had to do was like turn and lay it in. I was like, next level shit, man. Jokic's passing is just ridiculous. And putting him and Murray in these vortexes, Murray knows exactly how to exploit that too. There's a lot of really good split action, split the double team too.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Porter Jr. had a good series as well after he called out everyone.
Dude, we didn't talk about that, did we?
No.
Did you think that was like the whole backlash of
everyone's just like,
oh my God, I can't believe you said that, man. Like, that's a guy you just get straight out of your locker room. And I was just like, I watched it thinking, fuck, what's he said here? And then I was like all he said was like, we need to fucking share the ball a little bit. And low key, they shared the ball a little bit and it allowed them to kind of rope different things back in. Yeah. And he hit a couple of big buckets late in that game 5 as well, game 5 and 6. And yeah, I thought that was a bit weird. Anyway, you were saying.
No, I just think that he's a talent that keeps growing, man. He's a little bit rinsy on defense, but offensively, hitting some massive shots, rising up and hitting some ridiculous threes.
Had a really good dunk on Harold too. I think he's a guy that's like 3 years away. And
that team's young enough to be ridiculous. If they could rope another piece into that Denver team. I don't know. Another vet. Yeah, another vet. You kind of like, you didn't see it beforehand, but you see how good Jokic can be and you see how good Murray can be. And then you kind of like, well, Porter Jr. is probably 2 years away. You know.
And then like Millsap will probably need to be replaced.
Yeah, and Plumlee's a terrible backup center and all that kind of stuff. But
admittedly, like Plumlee was like the JaVale equation at the Warriors, where it's like they don't put Plumlee on an island. No. You know what I mean? Like Plumlee's not out there, kind of like a Harrell where it's just like always overhelping off the other guy, leaving a guy open. You know what I mean? Like his defense is not the worst in the world. It's just on offense, he's kind of a 0.
It must be a Plumlee thing.
It's a Plumlee thing. He was all right in the NBL. Solid.
No.
Bogut monstered him, but in those finals.
Yeah.
But there's so much. I wrote down a bunch of stuff today. This game was so tense. And in that third, man, I'm sitting there watching it going, they're going to fucking do this. They're going to do this. Like, and I had this confidence streak of just watching them defend pick and roll and just going, if they just keep going to this, there's no way they're not going to beat this fucking Clippers team. And again, like they knock down shots. Like I was like, some of these shots they're knocking down are fucking big ball shots.
How good was that Paul George shot just into the backboard?
Into the side of the back. But they were so scared, dude. Like watching them play, there was not so Magruder.
Hesitant. JaVale McGreen.
JaVale who?
JaVale. Is it Magruder or Green?
Rodney Magruder, I think, is the rookie. JaMychal Green.
JaMychal Green, that's it.
He had a couple of threes late, sort of halfway through the fourth, where you could tell he didn't want to shoot it. Like, he did not want to shoot that thing. And you're just like, fuck, like imagine like being in a team where you're just like, I can't give this guy the ball because he doesn't want to shoot it. And then Kawhi, like we should talk about Kawhi. He died in this series, man. Like
he did.
The last two games, 6-22 in this game. I'm just going to go to the series summary and just quickly check the game before it. He just looked like he couldn't score. And those shots where you were just like, oh shit, he rose up between two dudes and like knocked down a fucking 22-foot jumper. Fuck. Like in this game, he could not get that going. And that's kind of another reason why they lost. Anyway, I've been just ranting and raving, man. Like tell me of your thoughts.
Well, again, you can't rely on Kawhi. That's the thing. Like he's there, he's a piece, but he's not a 50-game piece. He's a 30-game piece. That's what's to get you over the line. You got to have guys like Paul George. I've always said that, the Clippers are weakest at their center position. Ivica Zubac is, as useful as a Pokemon Zubac.
I thought he had a good series.
Yeah, but good, like as in a Down syndrome person working at McDonald's good, or like, what?
No, I thought like good if you had like a Plumlee level good where it's like, man, if you tighten the system up, he could be a better player.
Nah. He's no triple threat. There is no triple threat. Jokic is a triple threat.
So
Tice
like
is,
third man off the bench level, yet he's starting.
yeah, exactly. Like Tice is somewhat of a triple threat. He can knock down a three, and man, Adebayo is somewhat of a triple threat. You know, these guys are the triple threats. Like they're not superstars, or Jokic is, but they can do a little bit of everything. And
Fuck, man. Have a look at this stat line. I didn't realize 16 points, 13 assists, 22 rebounds for Jokic.
It's just
That's outrageous. I didn't realize he had 13 assists, man. Because in that third quarter, like he would just come off the double, and it's just like, who will I pick? And then someone would just crazy help, and he's like, well, it's obviously that guy, and you'd just be like, fuck, man. Anyway, yeah, keep going. Sorry, what were you saying?
What was I saying? My train of thought.
Oh, it was so good to watch, man. I haven't felt this way because low key, man, I kind of like the Clippers deserve to win the series, right? And they played like they deserved to win the series, and they played like they thought they should have won the series. And at the same time, like Denver, I don't think is a team where you look at them and go, fucking top-notch team. Top-notch team deserve to win that series. I think they got out of jail against Utah. They got out of jail again against the Clippers. And, you know, it's probably 80-20 their own doing. Like they got themselves out of it.
Yeah.
At the same time as the Clippers kind of, you know, fell in a hole. But if you kind of look at their team, it's fucking trash, really. Like beyond Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, it's Beverly, Morris, Zubats. Kind of, you know, they're all like at least bench rotation level players all playing as starters. Then Harrell, Lou Williams, JaMychal Green, Shamet rolled his ankle, unfortunately. He wasn't really playing offensively that well. And then Reggie Jackson got a little wheel out off the bench this morning as well. And you were just like, oh, Reggie, like, you know, off the pine. How are you, mate? Haven't seen you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, man. I mean, if the 2 6-men of the year aren't firing, then your starting team is you got Patrick Beverly and Zubats. It's not really going to do much in the way of offensive brilliance.
So much, man. What else have I got? I'm just looking at my notes here. Bad pick and roll defense. So much bad overhelping. Kawhi Leonard was 1 from 11 on contested shots in the second half, and the whole team was 9 of 39. Fuck. Apologies, Mike Malone. I don't think, and I wrote here, I don't think the Clippers are really that good. I don't know if they're that good. I'm not sure on Doc, man.
I think they're going to have a good off season in terms of recruitment because I think a lot of players want to play with Kawhi, might want to play with PG-13. Maybe they'll.
They can't have too much roster upheaval too, because like
I don't think they need a lot of roster. You need to get rid of Harrell and someone get maybe a little bit of a better center in.
They need someone of a level of like a Jokic, AD.
I don't even think it's that, man. I think you could probably get away with
sneaky Giannis.
Nah, Giannis won't go to the Clippers. There's no way. I think you could probably get somewhere like an Ibaka, Serge Ibaka. That would be a good pickup, I think. In
a playoff scenario, though, maybe.
Defensively, yeah, can score as well. Has a bit of a mid-range game. Like that's the kind of guy that you want. You know, he's not going to take away from your superstars, but can facilitate a bit of scoring action because really Zubac can't facilitate anything.
Yeah, and I look, I hesitate to just go fucking rubbish player because I think he's got talent, but at this point of his career, I think that was just too much for him.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he wasn't ready for prime time. I still think over the next few years he's going to be developed to be a better player. He kind of feels a bit heavy. He is only, how old is he? Why won't you tell me how old he is? 23. He's only 23. So what's Jokic? Jokic is still only quite young too, I think.
25?
Come on, B-ball ref. Jokic, yeah, 25, almost 26. I feel like Zubats, like over the development of the league, he's just going to become like one of those heavy, thick centers that kind of just floats out of the league. Like you got to have the skill of Jokic and AD now. If you're up near 7 foot to have an impact on this league, like you can't just be one of these heavy Plumlee style centers anymore. Like there's just no room for that. I don't think anymore.
Triple threat.
even defensively, like you've just got to be quick too. Like you got to be quick and smart. And Jokic, like full props. Like let's just go on like a little splooge about Jokic. Like he still looks like pudding, but fucking strong, man. Like low key, he's quite strong. Like and smart strong. Whereas like I've been playing center all my life, so I kind of know how to do like put myself here. And then, you can't get around me. Whereas a power forward might not understand how to box someone out properly. Like to get that little 10% edge, even though you might not be strong as this player. Like the Tucker equation where sometimes you look at Tucker and you're just like, how the fuck did you box that guy out? And it's just because he knows how to box people out. And Jokic low-key has kind of those defensive fundamentals from playing center. And he's engine in this series, man. Like, I was like, shout out, man. Because I was just like, dude, that guy's blown. In that Utah series, I was like, you are fucking blown. Until he kind of lit it up in those last 2 games in the Utah series. He had a couple of really good plays late in the game. Some big plays. But in this series, man, he did so much work.
Yeah, man. You wonder how they go into that Lakers series having played 14 games. It's going to be tough.
I got... Like I hesitate. Like it's been once, it's been twice. Like or is it going to be twice? No, it'll be once. From the Utah series to this series. I don't want to go like you guys are gonna fucking be gassed, man. No, I don't want to do it. Like I've seen enough to just be like, I'm not making that mistake again. Because legitimately, Jamal Murray looks like he might just grow to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Fuck, he hit some big shots today. 15 of 26, 6 of 13 from 3, like some fucking massive shots. And like he became a player in this series, the last 2 games, where I was just like, that's going down. Like his feet are set, that's going down.
Yeah.
And those players, they're like huge. Like we've seen it in the NBL. We've seen like with Clay and Steph, where you're just like, feet are set, that's going in. And they're the guys that win championships. So
that is correct.
So props. So what are we thinking? A little preview of the Denver Lakers series. I'm just stoked to see AD defend this team, man. AD and LeBron defending against this Denver team. Like that was something I wanted to see. Like I would have been like, all right, Clippers can go through, fair enough. But I was like, I want to see fucking AD and LeBron defend this.
I don't know, man. I have no idea.
They have shit guards though, the Lakers.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's going to be a fucking good series. This is good, man. I'm stoked. Both of these series are going to be great. Start Saturday.
Okay, beautiful. That sounds good.
All right. Anything else? We got anything else to talk about? The draft? Any draft? I heard Josh Green, low key, is going to declare.
He will declare. I think
he'll go. Matur Maker, I believe, also.
Yes. I think Maker will go second round if he does. Josh Green looks like he's going to go lottery. So
fuck, really?
Top 15 pick potentially.
Sweet. And he's one of your golden boys too. I believe you were on his train pretty early, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, on the early train. Again, a little bit hard at the moment with no college ball to see how he's developing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
All right, we'll do a little bit of digging.
What a weird time! Yeah, what a weird time to be starting your career, eh?
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? All of these young guys are going to be forever sort of changed. NBA draft 2020 when? Let's just quickly check. 16th of October, so a month away. Exactly.
Do a bit of a preview.
Yeah, I think we'll do our homework and we'll try and rustle up some Aussies to talk about.
Cool.
Have a look at and bring some more content. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there. We'll be back. What do you reckon after the weekend?
Yeah, let's come back Monday night.
All right. As always, you can like and share and subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. Now we are on Spotify. So if you're listening on YouTube or iTunes and your preferred platform is Spotify, definitely go and add us on Spotify. We need to get that profile up. Leave a rating and review too. Also, if you're on iTunes, that'll help us get us seen. Like and share the YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube rather and like the videos. That'll also get us shared around the algorithm. And we'll see you guys Monday next week.
Monday night. Peace out.
Have a good rest of the week and week.